Hello, I'm Kate Williams, CEO of 1% for the Planet, a global network of members and nonprofits. We focus on environmental philanthropy. So all of our members are giving 1% to environmental nonprofits. Our members consist of both businesses and individuals, and we are a truly global organization with members in upwards of 60 countries and nonprofits following just about the same map. So super exciting. And I'm super excited to be here today with a group of our committed members who are in the banking industry. So we have Bank of the West, Aspiration, and Atmos. And we're going to have a rousing and hopefully educating conversation about the power of what your money does when it's not in your pocket. This is something that more and more people are thinking about and learning about. And the three people we have with us today are going to give us a great insight into how your money really can work for you in some ways that you may not have known. So all of these banks are members of 1% for the Planet, which is super exciting. And I'd like to start by hearing from each of our wonderful panelists. What makes your bank different? And if you can also just introduce yourselves personally as you speak. So why don't we start with Atmos, our newest member bank.
Thank you, Kate. So we are a banking startup, not a bank. Just to make that clear in case there's any regulators that are listening into this. So my name is Ravi Mikkelsen. I'm a co-founder of Atmos Financial. I've been in climate change and clean energy for about just over 20 years now, since I had a Hollywood-like moment of epiphany at my freshman orientation at the University of Washington. And since then, I knew that I had to help the world transition off of fossil fuels, and mostly as an engineer trying to build energy generation, but then about 5 years ago, got into finance. And Atmos, our goal is to democratize climate action and as you said, show people the power of their deposits. And we do that by leveraging the deposits that we bring in to finance climate positive infrastructure, such as clean energy, electrification, regenerative agriculture. And what a lot of people don't know is that about 75% of all greenhouse gases are connected to the energy that we produce and consume. And so by changing out that infrastructure, which mostly happens with bank loans, we'll get most of the way there to stopping our warming. So that's where we're coming from, is how do we change out the built environment to support this transition?
Awesome, thank you. And let's go next to Aspiration.
Thanks, Kate. So I am Alexandra Horigan. I have been, coming up on 8 years working with Aspiration. Started out, in early 2013, and we launched publicly in 2015 as the first socially conscious financial firm that is really dedicated to as Ravi said, that we're democratizing. It certainly appears everywhere in the startup world, but ours was always around democratizing access to great financial opportunity. And we have, over the years, really shifted focus to our dedication around environmental impact and allowing customers a way to make their dollars work in the ways that align with their values while delivering value. So allowing our clients to bank and invest and shortly spend on credit in ways that align with their values. And so we have, over the years, developed a host of products and Aspiration impact measurement, which allows people to really look at the impact that the companies where they're spending their dollars have on people on the planet. We offer carbon offsets through a product called Planet Protection, and a number of kind of environmentally focused carbon offsetting projects that back that. And then we have the most recent thing we launched is called Plant Your Change, which allows roundups to plant trees. So putting action, immediate environmental positive action in the hands of our clients while keeping their assets, deposits away from those kind of negative, environmentally, harmful places.
Awesome, thanks so much. And last but not least, we'll go over to Bank of the West.
Well, I guess there's probably three things that make us difference. I'm Ben Stuart, by the way, head of growth and transformation for Bank of the West. And there's probably three things that we say, make us a fundamentally different bank. I think the first thing is when less than 2% of bank CEOs are women. We are incredibly proud to be headed by Nandita Bakshi, who's a female immigrant of color, as our CEO. And we sort of reflect the city of San Francisco as well. We're unabashedly diverse and proud of it. And so we've got 100% score from the Human Rights Campaign on LGBT equality. We're consistently ranked by Forbes as one of the best employers for women. So diversity is something that makes us incredibly different. And then related to the other panelists, our fossil fuel and environmental policies are some of the strongest out there. With, when people put money in a bank, 90 cents of it goes back out in the world and finances things. And so when money is put in Bank of the West, it doesn't finance a fracking well or a tar sands pipeline or an Arctic drilling well or even tobacco, because tobacco is one of the largest producers of microplastics on the planet. And then finally, we're really, really proud to be part of BNP Paribas. And so the policies that we have here are actually instituted around the planet. So our tobacco policy is not just here in the US, but also in the Ukraine, one of the largest tobacco markets. And our coal policy is implemented in Poland, which is a huge coal market. So even in places where you could potentially make a lot of money by financing tobacco or financing coal, we've pulled out of that in nearly 70 countries around the world. So it's a real big advantage to be part of BNP Paribas, where the policies are everywhere, not just here in the US.
Great. Well, thank you all so much. I love speaking with all of you. It's always so inspiring, and I'm so excited that we get to now share this as a panel. And I think one of the things that's so inspiring is, like, often, and I'm sure you know this better than I do, often the banking industry is sort of maligned and criticized for, either, not having changed much or like causing the problems that we're seeing. So, banking and impact are often sort of put together in a more negative way. But clearly, hearing from all of you, there's enormous potential for that positive impact. So it would be great to hear if you could share just sort of some facts, one fact, key fact, something that really stands out as positive impact in the banking field, where you're doing your work, and then also one action that a business or individual can take to sort of participate in that positive impact through their banking. And maybe let's mix it up. Let's start this time with Aspiration.
Of course, you would start with me, Kate. Thank you. I appreciate that. So as far as, the actions that a bank or really any kind of large institution can take are really looking at the policies around where, what you are funding. Like Ben and Ravi were saying, so much of every dollar really does leave. And so as long you can create policies that do not allow funds to hit places that are contrary to the mission and, that are focused on creating positive climate impact. So that's kind of, the things that like an individual cannot control. What an individual can control is the things they do with their dollars. And that aspiration, that is really, I think, where we focus the most. So of course we have policies both on our Redwood Fund, which is our sustainable equity fund, and within the sweep network for our bank account. So where cash is sitting, we have created commitments. Every single bank in our sweep network commits to not funding anything that goes against a certain set of policies that we have created. But as a consumer, you're the one that's holding your hard-earned cash, right? Whether it's like in your wallet or actually in your hand, and you get to decide every second of every day where you put those dollars. Are you, spending with big box companies whose, everything from their actual voting dollars to their corporate policies are promoting a positive impact, or are they not? And so what we've done is create tools that literally do that for you. So you swipe your card, you see the impact that your dollars are having. And not even just through Aspiration, but people can really educate themselves around the policies of every organization. Make a decision every day. Do you shop local? What do you support? What matters the most to you? Who do you shop with? Like, what is the brand that you're wearing stand for? Does that make a good change, or is that a negative impact?
Fabulous. Thank you so much. And we'll go to Ravi next with Atmos.
All right. Three very similarly missioned organizations. It's like, okay, how do we rephrase like our same answers, like slightly different to get, continue sort of the interesting, one big impact, we talk about voting with your dollars, and usually in the retail sense, and that has a much more localized impact. It's like shop locally, you help your community, but where you bank can have a global impact as well, because, so I'm saying these, 90 cents on the dollar leaves the bank in financing, and the larger the bank that you use, the bigger the reach that they have. And so if you're banking with a big bank, the top four banks hold roughly 50% of the deposits in the US. So there's a good chance that, you're speaking to someone, they're going to bank with one of the big banks. And that money is going towards the things that we may not be aligned with. And the impact that we can all have now is choosing where we bank and what that money actually funds. And talking to people, I don't want to spend hours and hours going to a bank and filling out paper in triplicate. It's like, well, now you can, carry your bank with you in your pocket. It takes just a few minutes, Aspiration, Atmos, don't know if Bank of the West is like this, but just a few minutes, you can open an account on most fintech platforms and start shifting your money. So start there. It's a lot easier than it used to be. And, vote with where you store your money, with as well as where you shop with your money.
Terrific. And Ben, over to you.
I don't know if I've got so much of a fact as it is sort of an observation, is that one of the things that we've learned is that most people don't think of their bank as part of their supply chain or their carbon footprint. And I think people have gotten really used to looking at their shampoo to see if it's tested on animals, or checking out their yogurt to see whether or not it's organic. And I think one of the biggest facts is that so many people don't realize what their dollars are doing, not just their dollars in their bank account, but their dollars in their 401k. And so I think there's a really big job of a group like this just to raise the salient level of awareness as to the role that money plays in climate change. I think Bill McKibben wrote the article a while ago that money is the fuel on which climate change burns. And I think these type of forums and these companies are the ones who are really have a tremendous responsibility to highlight the role that money plays in climate change. In terms of actions, this is what I say is that so many people think that markets move because of an innovation. Markets move because of Uber, and so that innovation moved a market, or it moves because of policy changes at the government level, like tax credits for solar. But we got to remember that markets move because of consumers too. And they move with a collective action, which is nice about all the different customers that these three companies represent. We can move a market. And I think it's important for people to realize that so much of what we are addressing from a climate perspective, we don't have to sit back and wait for policymakers to do their job. We don't have to sit back and wait for an innovation on energy transition. That consumers can move a market. And I think that's what's great about all these companies getting together, is that we're all trying to do the same thing, which is getting people to vote with their dollars.
Yeah, that's great. And I would just echo that, like at 1% for the planet, we've seen a lot of companies joining over the last couple of years. And, there's a lot of different things driving that. But one of the things certainly is that it's increasingly good business, because consumers are really interested in, posing the questions and finding good solutions for their dollars to the types of things that all of you are working on. So I think that's a really great point. And I think it's also, again, just, so inspiring and enlightening to hear what all of you are doing, because I think it creates an opportunity for people to really drive that next level of change. And one of the things that I would remind everyone is, like, if you don't know, you can ask. And that's how consumers, create that change, is ask your bank, ask your financial advisor, ask your employer. And if they don't have a good answer, you've started a really important conversation. So I think there's a real opportunity there. So our last question, I want to bring it to 1% for the planet and sort of connect some dots here. I'd love to hear from each of you why you chose to join 1% for the Planet and how that ties to your impact and the opportunity for individuals. So, Ben, I know the 1% for the Planet membership for you is very much tied to an individual action that people can take. So I'd love to start with you.
Well, I think it's also, I want to take the opportunity to just share a little bit of a story of why 1% stands out. And it's actually because I've actually joined other so-called environmental organizations and gone to their annual meetings, and you sort of see single-use plastics on the tables of other conferences I've been to. And the one thing that stood out about 1% of the Planet is just the absolute raw authenticity and talent of the folks that work there. And you just know for in your bones that it's a really dedicated, talented group of people who care deeply about what they're doing. And for me, that makes a big difference, because I've seen and personally been a part of some organizations that just haven't passed that sniff test. So I would say at the macro level, it's about the quality and the talent of the people. And then for us, obviously, we did launch the 1% for the Planet checking account, which allows you to track the carbon of your purchases, and it also has a 1% give back to the environment at no cost to our customers. So we're obviously very bullish and very, very happy to be a 1% for the Planet member, not only just because of the incredible products, but probably mainly because of the incredible people that we work with every day.
Awesome. Sorry, I was just like basking in the glow and forgetting to move on to the next person. So let's go on to Ravi.
Being in climate change for 20 years, so back when I started, I was the odd one out. It's like, oh, that's just Ravi's thing. Like, that's not what everyone else does in society and, the normal world. It was lonely, and it's like slowly, people came on, and it's like, okay, I want to take care of the environment too. And not everyone's working in this field, but you're seeing this broadening movement, the enlarging of the tent, we're all under. And 1% of the Planet for the Planet is doing that on a much larger scale, on both the for-profit side with its business members and the nonprofit side, and bringing individuals in to interact with these organizations. And we want to support that, both on the individual level and then also from a corporate level. So we joined to give back, but then directly within Atmos, our customers can donate directly to nonprofits that we have on our platform. So 1% for the Planet, or its members that we have on the platform, they can elect to share a portion of their yield or make a fixed monthly donation or even a one-time gift. And if they do that, we bump up their yield a little bit. So we're subsidizing it. And in certain instances, we're actually covering the entire donation for them. So they're actually giving, it's from them, but we're covering it for them. So it's a frictionless and feeless way to give. And so we want to make sure that 1% for the Planet can continue to grow and inspire more people, and as well as its member nonprofits.
Awesome, thank you. And Alexandra, last but not least.
So philanthropy is really at the core of Aspiration sort of since day one. Philanthropy, not just for the Planet, but for the kind of broader good. So it is all for the Planet, but not just for environmental impact. No, we've always given 10%, but joining 1% for the Planet for us really is kind of an exciting thing, to be aligned with such an incredible organization that puts company through such rigorous testing and all of these things that really demonstrate the commitment and allow us to ensure that our dollars are having our philanthropic, I'm really having trouble speaking today. Our charitable dollars are going to have the most impact, and the best way to do that is to have them go to organizations that are vetted and all of that. And so participating in 1% for the Planet for us is really amplifying kind of the good work that we are doing and being able to participate in the good work that others are doing too.
Well, thank you all so much. And I think thread that I can just connect is really just how remarkable it is to have banks or financial institutions. I'll make sure I don't call you all banks. Thank you, Ravi, for that correction. so, the dollars that are in the bank, that 90 cents to the dollar that's going out is getting invested in smart, positively impactful ways. And, 1% of sales of the member is also going to nonprofits. And, as nonprofits and the work that they do drives impact in a really important and critical way. And investments for positive good drive change in a really important way. So all to say, these three institutions sitting here represent and embody, what we see across 1% for the planet, which is this connection of different ways of driving positive change. So it's really, really great to have this chance to have all of you here and really, it's, put forward or offered as an invitation, because I hope all of you listening are thinking, okay, great. So yeah, in addition to checking out my shampoo bottle, I also get to think about, where are my dollars sitting when they're not, in my hand going to the grocery store clerk. So I think there's a great invitation in what we've heard today. So it is our time to wrap up, but I know these panels go by really quickly. So I just do want to ask each of you, if you have like one parting thought or word. I know sometimes, these conversations spark additional ideas that take us beyond our planning. So love to just run down the line. And if you do have one more thing to say, I'd be happy to have you do that. So Alexandra, you look like you might be eager to say.
So I grew up as a winter sport athlete. And so, I mean, snow is probably one of the most important things in my life. And obviously we've all seen the change that is happening in the climate. I live in northern Montana and it's early February and we finally had our first snowstorm and our first cold temps. And the thing I want to say is that these financial institutions, Aspiration, Bank of the West, and Atmos, are making climate action so easy, because you are spending your money no matter what, right? Every single day you're spending your money, whether it's just bills that are on auto or you're going to a store, you're filling up your car, whatever it is. And so spending with a financial institution whose mission aligns with their values, it literally couldn't, there is no easier way to have an impact. And I'll just throw in a little last Aspiration plug. If you have Plant Your Change on, every time you spend anything, you're going to plant a tree, but kind of much bigger than that, it's where your dollars are sitting. And so I really would love for people to understand that the choice and the action is so easy. It doesn't mean going out and planting a tree by yourself or any of the things that actually, especially these days, have you really leave your home if that's not something that you're comfortable doing. And so there's really easy and really impactful ways to make a difference.
That's so great. Ravi, do you have anything else that you would want to add? No pressure.
I do, and I was going to say much the same thing. I'm sure Ben will say something similar too. It is so easy, and a lot of people ask, what can I do? I don't work in clean energy. I'm not a scientist. And it's like, I don't even live in a house. I'm in an apartment. I don't have a car. So I can't put solar panels on my roof because it's my upstairs neighbor's floor. It's like, okay, well, if you take 5 minutes, you move your money out of the big bank that's funding fossil fuel. It's like, we can take that money and help fund clean energy, solar panels on somebody else's roof. So you are having a direct impact simply by taking 5 minutes out of your day to move where your money sits. And you still have 100% daily access to that money. It's no change to how you can access it. You don't lose any of it. You actually gain money. So unlike an offset where you're spending money to absolve yourself of your carbon sins, this is building your own financial wealth while having a direct impact on climate change.
But offsets are fine too, right? If you do need to.
They are good. It's something needed, but first we need to sort of stop the extra emissions and then do tree planting. We need to do direct air capture. But first, let's just stop emitting the fossil fuels.
All right, Ben, to you. Thank you.
Oh, I guess I just want to celebrate the moment here. I mean, I think, if you go back 5 years, do you think that there'd be three banks or three banking services companies getting together and talking about moving a market? I think this is a really great really great little mini moment here. I think if we go forward 10 years, look back and say, when did banks and bank-like objects get serious and really start changing the market. And I think this is great that we're all together, and that clearly the three panelists that were together, we're much more interested in moving the market than we are competing with each other, because there's a much bigger fight to win. So I just think we should recognize a moment of, we got three sustainable finance organizations here for the first time. So thank you, Kate, for bringing everybody together. This is great.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all so much. You are truly an inspiration and create such a great opportunity for everyone listening. And so with that, we'll wrap up, and I'll just close by saying one of the things that we talk about at 1% for the Planet is the idea that everyone has a 1%. And we mean that both literally in terms of our model. So we're certifying the giving of our members at that 1% level, but we also mean it figuratively. And I just share that because, Ravi, you mentioned like take 5 minutes, and Alexandra, you talked about just how simple it is. And I just want to remind everyone that it is, everyone has a 1%. And if every day you think about like, what's that kind of 1% action I could take? Could I, look at where I'm doing my banking? Could I ask a different question of, this or that purchase that I make? So really want to invite you into that concept, listeners, and to know that you've got some great resources right here in these three amazing 1% members, along with the 4,000 other members that we have. So thank you very much. And with that, we'll wrap up, and I hope you all have a great day.